Thank you, Jerry. Very kind words there, and thank you all for staying back late in the day. Yes, so as Jerry said, this company was previous name was Potash West. We've recently changed it to Parkway Minerals, and as I go through our presentation, I'll explain the reason why. This is I think, a refreshing time. This is, I think, the first time I've spoke with RIU where anyone has talked about fertiliser as a specific sector that's of importance to the investing community. So it's nice to see some interest in this. Adam and Matt have talked a bit about the industry, so I'll be able to skip over a few bits, but let me tell you what Parkway Minerals is doing now. The disclaimer, as you know, forward-looking statements, do your own research. I'll run through the company corporate structure briefly. Now I have the opportunity to skip over the fertiliser overview because Adam did a pretty good job. Then talk about our main projects. We've got a couple in Western Australia now. Our main one, Dandaragan Trough, recently acquired a Salt Lake, or consolidated a Salt Lake opportunity. Also have a potash project in Germany. And like a lot of companies, we think there's a strong opportunity for price appreciation here. We've got a board of four. Our chairman, the person who saw this opportunity about 10 years ago and consolidated the ground around Dandaragan, is Adrian Griffin. He's been in the small cap space for a number of years and a number of different commodities. In addition to chairman of Parkway Minerals, he's also the managing director of Lithium Australia, and that company's growing strongly as well. He recruited me when we put this project together and floated the company. My background is in industrial minerals, mainly in operations, project development and technical marketing. Chu Wei-Shung is a Singaporean banker. They came in, his clients came in at the IPO, and he's been a strong supporter of us in the last 5 years. Currently own about 30% of the stock. Is Singaporean high net worth individuals and small funds. Natalia Streltsova is a technical business development professional, experienced in hydrometallurgy, and her last full-time corporate role was with Vale as business development, focusing very much on potash and phosphates in their Brazilian operations. We have about 350 million shares out at the moment, market capitalisation of about 7.5 million. Top 20 owns about 46%, and we have a number of subsidiaries, one with our German investment, two, a technology group which owns our K-Max technology and some lithium technology shares as well, and the Dandaragan Trough that holds our Dinner Hill project. We have our main objective is to develop a fertiliser business based on the very large deposits of green sands in the Dandaragan Trough between Perth and Geraldton, which has both phosphates and potash as potential products. So it's virtually a unique opportunity to provide two of the main components of fertiliser. We have a significant investment in a brownfields potash exploration play in Germany, and we have just consolidated the land holding on a salt lake in Western Australia. I'm able to skip over this now, thanks to Adam, but picture tells 1,000 words. Without phosphates, your plants don't grow big and strong. So if you're looking for pasture, that's what you need. You need P. And if you're growing fruit, whether that's wheat, apples or corn or tomatoes, you need potassium. So without those key elements, plants don't grow. Skip over this now. We've talked about world population growth, arable land per person going down. Third important criterion is dietary change. India and China, as they get richer, if they behave the same way as we do, and this graph says they will eat more meat. Since 1970, the Chinese demand for pork has increased about 8-fold. USA has trucked along about the same level. Meat requires an awful lot more agricultural input than grains. And that's what's driving the belief that the experts I looked at said world food demand will need to be about twice what it is now by 2050. Big business, $170 billion a year, made up half of its nitrogen, the balance phosphorus and potash. In terms of phosphate, there's about 50 countries around the world produce phosphate, but the internationally traded phosphate business is dominated by Morocco and Saudi Arabia. Those two produce about 80% of the world's traded phosphate, and it goes around the world to chemical plants and fertiliser plants and is then internationally traded elsewhere. Demand in Asia is strong, so the import into Asia is high. China is an exporter of phosphates though, but Western Australia, Southeast Asia and India imports virtually all of its needs. Potash, by contrast, is very concentrated, and about 85% of the world's potash is produced in two locations. Western Canada, mostly in Saskatchewan, and Eastern Europe, between Russia and Belarus. And you can see that here. Sorry. North America and Eastern Europe. Enormous demand and very little production in Asia. Southeast Asia, again, India, Australia, as Matt said earlier, imports all of our potash needs. Product pricing, generally been muted for this last sort of 5 years. MOP in particular, the potassium chloride, has dropped from about the $400 per tonne level to the low 200s. That's because the Russians and the Belarus have been having a marketing war since late 2013. But the SOP price has continued on and is still very strong. So that's the backdrop of fertilisers from our perspective. We have our first project, which Potash West floated on back in 2011, is the Dandaragan Trough. Shown here, just north of Perth, a very large sedimentary basin, and we have a large land holding in there. It's got very good infrastructure for what is still a relatively low value product. We have rail access running up the eastern side, takes us to fertiliser plants and export ports at Geraldton and Kwinana, gas, high voltage power, small towns, all the stuff you need for what is still an industrial mineral operation. It's close to the markets of WA and Southeast Asia. We're focused on the northern area, and we have an indicated resource in this area here called Dinner Hill, which is a resource for both phosphate and for potash. This shows a sequence through the ore body from the surface here down to the bottom. This is the green sands material that contains potassium as a source of potash, and these are the phosphate nodules that are present as phosphate nodules, and you can make phosphate rock from them. The phosphate flow sheet is very conventional. We use very simple mining techniques using bulldozers, beneficiating the nodules up to about 8% P2O5, and then a conventional phosphate flotation plant that's used all over the world to produce either phosphate rock or single superphosphate. We've completed a scoping study for that. Mining at the rate of 4 million tonnes a year produces about 400,000 tonne a year of superphosphate, and the scoping study results were released late in 2015. It's a strong project, it's got an EBITDA of about $50 million a year. We're still in the process of starting and completing the pre-feasibility study on that, and that's our next objective for this Dinner Hill project. potash project uses new technology to extract sulphate of potash from glauconite. In addition to the SOP, we also produce significant amounts of phosphate and alum, which is used in water treatment. So those three key elements underpin what is a very strong project. Scoping study has been released on that in 2015 as well. Development plan is to start with the phosphate project as the first stage, and the cash flow from that will then go on to do the feasibility work for the KMAX project. From that scoping study and test work, we own some technology. We own the KMAX process, which has been looked at for other deposits around the world, and we also own a share of some lithium technology, which is translated into about 97 million shares in a company called Lepidico. Recently, as in this morning, we've been able to, or we've announced that we've consolidated a Salt Lake project in central part of Western Australia, about 150 kilometres north of Southern Cross. We've had exploration licences around Lake Barley, which is shown here, for about 9 months. But we've been able now to purchase this exploration licence in the centre of it, which covers the main paleo channels. So we'll be able to start exploration work on that in the next few months. The work done by Australian Geoscience believes that this lake is prospective for both potash and for lithium. We also now own about 25% of a listed ASX company called Davenport Resources, which is looking for potash in central Germany. These are two exploration licences, Kulstead and Grafentonner, 450 square kilometres of ground in areas that have had significant potash production in the past. In this area through here, about 100 million tonnes of potash product was produced between 1960 and 1990. It's in the area that was the GDR in the Soviet era, so very little work has been done there since the 1980s. We believe, and the expert advisors we have who are based in that area, this area still has a lot of economic potash ore left, and there's a lot of drilling there that we're currently working our way through that will give us a resource in the very near future. Our market cap in relation to some of the others, so we're pretty low at the moment. So the Potash West value proposition is one, the operations are close to markets for the products we'll be producing, particularly in Dinner Hill, in WA and Southeast Asia. In Germany, Western Europe is still a net importer of potash. And we have technology assets as well, both within Lepidico and KMAX. So thank you very much for your attention. I'm available in booth 415 if you have any questions. Thank you.